Hello and welcome. I am Sumant. Welcome to this edition of Physeek Cafe, where we bring you the best advice from the highly qualified doctors and fitness experts. This year of the pandemic, if I may call it that, has seen many inspirational stories where individuals have overcome their personal challenges. We have with us today Rajni Nair, who's not just an ultramarathon runner, a Bharatanatyam dancer, but also an ultra human being in real life. We will soon see why I said that. Welcome, Rajni.
Thank you so much, Sumant, and thank you for having me. And congratulations, first of all, to the whole team of Physeek Cafe for doing such inspiring, amazing stories.
Okay, nice. So, starting with the question, so this year has been notable for the pandemic-induced situation, and in your personal world, you have gone through a much bigger challenge. Would you like to start from there?
Yes, Sumant. This year, just as it's been, the world has seen a new invader with COVID-19. I myself have, had a new invader in my body called a malignant tumor in my left breast. So this was around February 3rd week, 2020, and this was just about a month and a half after I finished my big Wagamon Ultra, which was a 62 kilometers, really ruling ultra in the hills of Wagamon in Cochin. And around 10 days after I finished my 100 kilometers Oxfam with a few of my friends. So just as it's been a roller coaster ride for the whole world, it's been one parallel for me too. So I was put on this sandwich treatment with 8 rounds of chemo, a surgery and 15 rounds of radiation. So that's how it started.
But for a runner, it's all about the training, being fit, dieting, keeping it positive. For anyone, it's very hard to digest. Why did this illness occur at all?
Absolutely, and this was the very same question I was asking myself when I got the diagnosis. Because I've always been into fitness, dancing, and gymming and running. So later on in the treatment, I realized that I carried a mutation to the gene called BRCA2, which predisposes people to breast and ovarian cancer. So breast cancer runs in my family with my grandmom who died at the age of 50 with breast cancer, and my paternal as well as my maternal aunts have dealt with it. So it didn't come that much of a shock to me, but I still thought I was a little young to deal with it. But after that, we were reading about various gene testing that they do to recognize whether you carry the gene. Like you have the famous Jolie effect, Angelina Jolie, who had in fact done a series of surgery when she realized she was carrying the mutation to the BRCA2 gene, and incidentally her mom and aunt who had gone through the whole process, the treatment, and she didn't want to actually go through it, and she had a higher chance of getting it sometime in her future. So she did the surgery in anticipation of anything, if at all, in the future. So, but then unfortunately I had to go through the whole treatment with the chemos and surgery and radiation. So all's good that ends with good.
Quite interesting to understand that.
Yeah.
So moving on, perseverance is a key factor while you prepare for long distance running. And how have you managed to persevere through this entire schedule of being hospitalized, going through this high medication that you just referred to that has been administered on you? How did you persevere?
So actually, as you said, the long distance running really needs a lot of strength. It's mental as well as physical. So For me, when I was reading about the chemotherapies, there was so much of overload of information over the net, and so much of anxiousness. There was so many advice that you get from friends and family. I still recall the first chemotherapy I had gone for, and with lots of nervousness and anxiousness. But after the whole process was over, I felt it wasn't that eventful as any of my ultra runs that I do for 12 hours, because my friends rang up to ask me, how was it, how did you manage, and how was the first chemo, why are you okay? I said I was sitting in an AC room, surrounded by friends and family, and lovely music, my favorite food, and I was lying on the bed, and it was like some 4 hours. So I think it wasn't that much of an struggle as I do for those ultra marathons, because I'm in an unknown territory, running sometimes all alone. I look to my right, left, front, back. I don't see anybody, and I don't have any clue about the terrain that I'm running in. 12 hours I've been doing it for the Vagamon. So that was more challenging than here I was.
Okay.
But of course, that apart, the side effects were quite difficult to deal with. Especially with the first 4 drugs, that is AC, that is adriamycin and cyclophosphate. That was a little hard on me. And then there was that paclitaxel, which was fairly okay. That was just affecting my muscles. That was fine. So that's how, and also in long distance running, mentally you get a little, strong, and not knowing what you're going to deal with the next minute while running. There might be a crevice, or there might be unknown territories which you're not aware of. So that really, being an athlete, I must say, has really helped me and go through my treatment. So that's what I about that.
Yes, very, very inspiring. Okay, so moving on. When the odds are against you, it is very tough to individually tide through such a situation. You have not only done that, but you have ensured that the other members being treated along with you in the hospital are also motivated. So how did you keep that environment going?
Yeah, actually, I'm a person who doesn't like a gloomy atmosphere from the very beginning. I like to make things lively, social. If you have the same treatment anyway, so why not approach it with little brightness? So even in the hospital, I made friends with the doctors and the sisters and the other patients and the counselors. So that's how I made things a little, happy, the surrounding. And I strongly feel, it's very important to surround yourself with positive, cheerful, happy people who will probably help you through the, whole treatment and the process. So I did that in the hospital as well, in Manipal.
So you created a group on WhatsApp?
Yeah, so I made a little group on WhatsApp with the rest of the people there. But that, besides the point, I was the only one most active every day. Good morning, I did the 5K. I didn't get much of a reaction from the other people, like why would she be running during chemos?
Yeah.
But then with the doctor's permission, I was running around 35 to 40 kilometers. I was clocking during my chemo week. That is how much I was able to push myself during my chemos. But when it was walking, I was doing really long distance, as much as 20 kilometers a day. And very close to first week of November, I clocked my maximum of 122.7 kilometers in 6 days. So that was walking, because I just got the green signal to run 2 weeks back. So I just started my running. So till then, up till then, I was just walking and doing some meditation and yoga and everything. So that's how I'm still in touch with the rest of the people, the counselors and the the people around while I was doing the chemo. While the rest of them were lying down and taking the IV, I had a PICC line. I didn't have the chemo port. It was a PICC line which went directly into my heart. Yeah. So. The other people, I think some had the port and some had one with the IV, So with that running was a little easier in this. It wasn't that easy, but the scare of falling was the only thing which was restraining me to really run fast, because I was scared if I fall and PICC line gets pulled or something. Yeah. So that was the only thing. But otherwise, doctors had given me permission to do whatever I could, listen to my body and enjoy and do whatever you want. But they were telling me that I was one of the first patients who is actually asking them, can I run? I mean, during my chemos, it's like the others were like a little, depressed and not able to get up and all that. But I was the only one who was asking them, can I run? When can I start actually doing my marathons? So they all were like, wait, you start doing like 5 kilometers and 10 kilometers. Listen to your body. You can do whatever you want through your chemos. So just make sure that you're not hurt or fall or something like that.
Okay, the next question. You mentioned about the time between February and October, which was the grueling part, right? But you have not let your passion for running become affected by that. So how have you kept on to focus on running during this time?
So actually what really affected me was one of the articles which I read when I started the chemos was, one of the good review and research paper. There are so many scientifically proven studies which have been done and which said that high intensity interval training for cancer patients are so good. In many cases it has reversed the effect of cancer and how sometimes it even ward off the cancer. So those were the actual instances, actual data that I read, so many papers, review papers, which really affected me. And then there were athletes like Lance Armstrong, there was Noveline Williams Mills, one of the athletes. She was a Jamaican runner who came back exactly after I think 1.5 years of her being treated with breast cancer, having 4 surgeries later, came back to win the Olympic medal. I mean, not just qualify, actually come back to win. And even Lance Armstrong, for that matter, how he came back after his really, I think he was in a really bad shape with 4th stage cancer, with multiple surgery, including the brain and everything. And he came back and won the Tour de France, which is like one of the most grueling events on earth. So those were the stories. And again, there was another story which is very inspiring, is about this person called Mike Levine, who was an 80-year-old going through 4th stage cancer, and he was training for a Ironman during his chemotherapy. 80 years he was going through. It was like a terminal illness for him because they didn't know which way it's going to go. And he was actually training. And Ironman is again one of the ultimate things. You're running so much of distance, you're cycling, and he had a boat and he was swimming. So, I mean, how can one not get inspired by stories such as these? So that was really had a big impact, even the books of which Lance Armstrong wrote on how he came back, and then later nobody wanted to sponsor him because they were not sure how is he back with the same energy level, or will he be sponsored and will he let us down? What about our money? So for a long time, his manager had a tough time getting a sponsor for him, but actually he came back then later to prove all of them wrong, and he had that faith in himself. So those were the inspiring stories which I read, and then there was no looking back for me. I said, that's when I truly feel when you have a story as inspiring, or you've gone through a difficult time, it's very, very important to talk about it, because you don't know who you're going to inspire in the whole process. And any disease or anything that you're going through, it's very important to reach out to people, because there's so many overwhelming messages that I got, and help, and so much of support by my friends and family. So I truly feel if a Lance Armstrong or some other athlete had not penned down their experience or story, a person like me would have never been inspired. So that's what I tell my friends, when they say you're an inspiration, I said not many talk about it. There's so much of stigma attached to cancer. Oh my God, she was a cancer patient or something. But the whole point is coming out and talking about it. There's so many people who need inspiration from stories like you. It may not be just cancer. It could be any other little thing that you're going through. Maybe a vein not coming, or you fell down, you had a fracture, and how you feel very depressed, or things like how do you come out of all that? Because the whole thing is how you come out much stronger than before, with a vengeance, with a story, with an inspiration to so many other women who would probably get inspired by your story. so Pinkathon is again another organization that's a breast cancer. Now I know actually what they stand for.
Yes.
So one of my friends, she's asked me to be the brand ambassador for that sometime whenever the stadiums open up, because I've just come out of the whole breast cancer thing. So I said, why not? She said, would you be wanting to do it? Is it okay? Would you want to talk about it? I said, why not? Why not? We should, because that's the only way you reach out to so many million women all over the country, the world. How I got inspired by so many other athletes and people. So should other women. So,
very touching. Yeah, and similar to whatever you say to inspire, and you wanted to participate in this, you are going to be ambassador for the Pinkathon.
Yeah.
Similarly, the hospital where you got the treatment, they ran a story on you. Would you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, so the hospital, I was, as I told you earlier, I love lively atmosphere. I try to make things a little happy and social around me. There were a few counselors who come and do a regular visit to all the patients, cancer patients, and they counsel them. And they were very, inspired by me. And they said, oh my God, you're the only one sitting up and taking the IV. The rest everywhere lying down, I was sitting up, and I said, oh my God, time for me to go back home, and I have to have an early sleep, and I want to start running tomorrow while I'm on the chemo. So they were so inspired by that, and they ran the story on the Cancer Survivors Day. They wanted me to also speak about this hospital, Manipal Hospital, where I'd gone through the whole surgery. And they had I was under super specialists, great oncos, and my doctors, they gave me the right advice through and through. And that was amidst the COVID. And I never missed a single treatment. My surgeries was on time. So that is hats off to the whole team. Double thumbs up to the whole team of Manipal Hospital, and the doctors, the sisters, the counselors for having, had my whole treatment on time during the COVID. It was a full lockdown, and I had to go. I was only one probably on the road going for all the treatments and chemos and surgeries, but I didn't miss a single appointment. Everything went on as per schedule. So I'm like truly blessed to be under such expert doctors and super specialists who treated me. And of course, I must mention about the gene test also, which I had done, which helped me, to find out whether I was had the BRCA2 mutation. So incidentally, I did have. So that's how I could connect my breast cancer thing to the, to the whole treatment and why I got, because that's a question everybody asks. Why me? And what have I done? I was the most healthiest among all. I was the one doing ultras among all my friends. So why me? So that's exactly what all my friends also said. But why you? You were like inspiration to us. You were like the most active in the group and going from ultras to Latin dance to some events. I trekked incidentally 14,000 feet to Hirikund last year in the Himalayas. Yeah, with a few of my friends. so I was from one event to other. I had absolutely no breathing time. So I'm not someone like you. Later I said there is a connection here, the Jolie effect. So probably we'll have a Rajni effect. Something like that. So later we did find out why I had this thing to begin with. So.
What advice would you have for individuals who want to take up running as a hobby or a passion? Because you did running so much.
Yeah.
So what would you advise for people? There are a lot of people like me who are amateurs who are into running. So
but 10K is good. 10K, my God, yes. 10K now seems like some ultra marathon for me. I've started again from the scratch. But yes, I think it's changed my life, for the last so many years that I've been running. And because whether you finish a 5K or you do an ultra or a marathon, the runner's high, as you call it, that's like an immense feeling. It's like priceless, the feeling. It can come even after a 5K. You would have probably experienced a 10K, an ultra marathon. And being an athlete, really helped me to go through my treatment, and because psychologically also, other than physically, psychologically, mentally, I was a little tough. I had seen physically, I put myself in those situations where I had to really speak to myself. Every minute I remember in Vagabond Ultra, I used to speak to myself. I have to finish this. I'm almost there. You got to do this. I keep speaking to myself. And I was one among the 6 women who completed the 62 kilometers ultra marathon, which took me around 12 hours, some 15 minutes to complete. So there were a lot of terrains where I was all alone. I had nobody. I had no signal. I had no GPS. I had nobody, around me. I was all by myself. And then I had to just speak to myself, stay focused. Just carry on. So that mentally also I became a little strong as compared to. That really helped me through my treatment too. So I feel being an athlete, running has really helped me go through even those everyday things in life. On a day I run, I feel great. My morning starts great and I'm really happy with the rest of the day. So that's how I feel. So it's one of those positive things like meditation, yoga, all those music. In fact, I did make a small, playlist in Spotify for cancer patients while I was going through all the kind of music which uplifted me through and through my. That's still, I think, I've just made it public, so anybody can go through. That's got some around 30 odd songs, but that really helped me. Music, calms you off down. Because there's so many times you're hallucinating, unable to sleep, you're tossing and turning. But there was not a single day I remember when I didn't get up from the bed. It could have been an hour later, it could have been, usually when I wake up at 6, I could have probably woke up at 8 or something. But I was up and about every single day.
Okay. How have you planned the post-recovery phase and getting back to full-time running and to your previous best? So how are you planning that?
For me, as I can see, Sumant, is it could be a little easier for the simple reason I was up and about through my surgery. There was not a single day, as I said before, where I was just lying down not doing anything. So post-recovery for me would be a little easier. I've already started running, and with the doctor's permission, I should be able to do long distance, maybe in a couple of months after I do a scan again, keeping my fingers crossed all this way. And then I start my runs. But through and through my treatment, I was walking, I was meditating, I was yoga. On days I was really down, because even on the lowest phase on days, I used to pull myself up, speak to myself, I have to get through this. I have to get through this. And then I was up and about doing some meditation or yoga. May not be running on days I'm really feeling low or really tired. I may not run, but I would still do some sort of an exercise. Listen to music, feel great, maybe even gardening or any sort of a thing which gave me a sort of a peace and that positive feeling. So for me, I feel soon, maybe in a month or two, I should be able to do long distance, because I'm already doing a 10K. I'm clocking around 40 a week. So that's how much I'm able to push myself now, post my surgery. So hopefully I should start running long distance. And luckily for me, most of my events were cancelled, so I didn't miss much. So that was, I'm like so fortunate. Yeah.
So you're having already a head start, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like I'm feeling bad. My friends are doing ultra marathons, and here I am, taking those IVs. So they were also at home not doing anything. So for me, I said, yeah, let me. So that was
make sure. So moving on to your other talent that you have, Bharatanatyam.
Yeah.
It's a very divine art, and it's also about physical agility when you dance. So how has your experience been with that dance form?
Yeah, so I'm a classical dancer. Like I trained till I was a teenager. Then I lost touch, here and there, a few performances. But I took up seriously again a few years back. And being an athlete really helped me, because there are a lot of those little maneuvers which I could probably jump and do, which some of my other friends couldn't, because I've been running and gymming. So that really helped me. And it's always nice to have a little show and do. I mean, there's a lot of peace that I get after I do a performance. So.
Super. So those are the questions that we had, but we have an interesting round coming up for our audience. This is called the rapid fire round, and the rule of the game is I ask you 5 quick questions, and we would want you to answer with a word or a phrase or a small sentence, whatever comes to your mind. Okay. So here goes the first question. If you had to choose any hobby between running, dancing, and riding superbikes, what would you choose?
So hands down, it would be running, because I want to start my day, on a happy note. So running would be great. But in an ideal day, I would say running and then having a dance and then going for a long ride. But running hands down, that's probably, I would prefer that.
Okay, and what has been your favorite running event or the dream event that you want to participate in?
So, favorite running event, I would say it would be Pinkathon, for the simple reason I started my serious running with this.
Okay.
So it would be Pinkathon, and even the NEP sports, they do the Bengaluru Marathon. Even that's very well organized, and you have some great snacks and refreshments. So look forward to that. It's very well conducted. But if you say one event, I would go in for Pinkathon because it's close to my heart. I started my serious running with the 10K a few years back in Pinkathon, so that would be one of my favorites.
Okay. So the next question. What is your favorite food that enables you to keep fit and provide the necessary energy for the long runs?
Long runs, food, I would say those élakai, those bananas are great. You can have it in between. Then there is little, jaggery, and those are those energy givers. But also I make this little concoction of ginger, lemon, green tea, cinnamon, which is a homemade thing, and I carry it for my long runs. So, that's a natural thing that keeps me hydrated. It's got some rock salt and honey and, some sort of cinnamon and ginger and all that. So that keeps me going for those long runs.
Okay. Nice. What has been your best run in terms of the timing or the track or the experience?
I would say Mumbai because it's very, very marathon friendly. The people, the cops, the route, and they usually have it in January with the perfect weather. So my timing was for a marathon was around 4 hours 22 I think 3 years back, or was it 2 years back? So that's one of the tracks I really enjoy running. So that would be my favorite.
Super. And the last question, who's your role model?
A role model, I take those little inspiration from everyday people who are probably going through worse, treatments and, medical things than me. But also if you say one person I was inspired most during my treatment is Lance Armstrong. I read a couple of his books which he had written, pen down all his, the whole story when he was going through the cancer treatment and how he bounced back and winning the Tour de France. So that was very, that made a big impact on me. And then when I said, when he can do such a, difficult sport, come out with flying colors, then why not me in a, not that large scale, go through my treatment. So for me, a lot of these athletes, if you even see on the net, there's so many athletes who have gone through treatments and terminal illnesses and actually come back running and won Olympic medals or won, some big events. Ironman challenges. So those are the stories I really get inspired because being an athlete myself, these stories, So.
I have had the privilege to listen to one of the best inspirational stories during this year, and I'm sure our viewers also would have had the same experience. Thank you, Rajni,
Thank you
for spending time with Physeek Cafe and sharing your inspirational moments and the challenges that you went through. We wish to see you back into full-time running with more power and reach greater heights.
Yeah.
So once again, thanks a lot on behalf of the Physeek Cafe. We would like to thank you and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. So am I getting that check that you promised?
Yeah, sure. Very nice.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.